I just want to say quickly before this video starts, apologies for my monotone voice. I sound like, yeah, you know, this game is pretty good, you can do this, you can... I don't know, it's just the way I talk sometimes. I'm sorry for that. But if you do enjoy RPG games and survival games as well, then I do encourage you to stick around and watch the video. I do highlight a few good points about the game and tell you what it's really about and if you should buy it or not. So, again, I'm sorry that I sound like this. I mean, I could put on this voice like, what's going on, guys? Today I've got a new video for you guys. It's awesome force. I'm here. Like, I don't know. What's better? Like, tell me what you think's better. Anyway, enjoy the video. An RPG game with survival elements on console. That is exactly what Outward is. This game basically throws you in the wild, doesn't tell you anything, and you're forced to fend for yourself. But that is what makes the game so good, in my opinion. You'll find yourself out in the wild, running away from the first enemy you see because you have no idea what it is, and when it hits you, you're pretty much dead. The game has been out for a little while on PC, but it is pretty new on console. So I'm pretty much going to break down this video into 3 parts. The looting, the combat, and how co-op works. And we're going to start with the looting. Being an RPG game, there is tons and tons and tons of items for you to use. And one of the things that I love about the loot in this game is that it seems like you're rewarded for everything you do. For example, if you decide to fight a really high tier enemy when you're, say, just starting out, if this high tier enemy, say for example, has a really big sword, if you kill that guy, you're going to get that sword. He doesn't just drop it on the floor and you can't pick it up. You can pick up that sword and use it. It's going to be hard to kill him, but if you can find a way to do it, you're going to get that sword that's going to help you out. Another way to get loot in this game is there is obviously tons and tons of dungeons. The dungeons seem to be really goddamn hard, but if you can fight your way through it, it seems like the loot is very worth it. I'm not going to spoil anything of what I've come across so far, but if you come across a dungeon, it's definitely worth trying to go in there and clear out the monsters and get the loot. There is obviously merchants and sellers in the game which you can buy items from and also sell items to. The currency is silver in the game. There's also crafting that you can do with items that you gather from doing dungeons or killing animals or fighting monsters. There is a lot of crafting in the game. You will find recipes that you can learn. It can be a recipe for armor, a recipe for food, a recipe for a weapon. That's what's really cool about this game. It's like an RPG, but with survival elements. One thing I will throw in here pretty quickly as well is that you definitely have to maintain your food levels, your water levels, and your sleep levels even. I know this doesn't have anything to do with looting, but I thought I'd quickly throw this in. It's a pretty big part of the game, just keeping your character's needs at a high level. If you don't keep a full stomach and you do stay dehydrated and you do not get enough sleep, there is penalties for it and it will severely impact your gameplay. So it's really important that you keep your sustenance levels high. Each item that you receive can have a chance to have buffs or debuffs, which will affect your character's attributes. For example, you might get a helmet, and the helmet might give you plus 20 stamina, or it might give you negative 20 stamina. So sometimes it can actually be a little bit tricky to figure out what gear you want to rock with. Okay, so moving on to the combat. The combat system in Outward is something a lot of you may be familiar with. It is very similar to games like Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. The standard lock onto the enemy, you can dodge, you can do combos with different buttons.
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives...
And obviously some enemies are weaker to some elements, so for example, fire, frost, poison maybe. And from my experience, the combat in this game is very, very tricky. You are severely punished if you take a hit. Every weapon has its own attacks and combos that you can do. There's also skills in the game, which for example, you might be able to learn a skill to do a jumping attack, or you might learn a skill to be able to lock onto enemies further away. Enemies have the standard health bar and another bar which is like the stagger bar. If you get that bar low, you can stagger the enemy and inflict a lot of hits on them without them fighting back. The awesome thing about this game is that there is magic in the game. So you can choose to be a full out brute with the best armor in the game, the best axe in the game, or you can choose to go and be a wizard and cast all sorts of spells onto the enemies. From my experience, it seems the combat, you need to be very tactical with it and not get too greedy, but as I said in the looting section of this video, it is very rewarding if you can pull off a fight and kill some enemies that are much stronger than you. I don't want to spoil too much, but some of the weapons I've come across so far, I've seen bows, I've seen axes, I've seen pitchforks, I've seen your standard sword, I've seen maces. You can purchase better attire and backpacks from merchants that may allow you to have the upper hand in combat. I think just before I was playing and I bought a backpack that allows me to roll faster, so I can dodge out of the way of enemy attacks a lot easier. And finally, onto co-op. It is a maximum of 2 players, and you can go through the story and complete quests together. The loot is not shared, so have fun fighting with your friend over who gets what. In my experience, it seems like the combat is a lot easier in co-op, since the enemy is not always trying to kill you, sometimes it's going for your friend, so you can get a bit of breathing room. Items that merchants sell, if you buy that and then your friend goes to try and buy that, it won't be there anymore. So pretty much everything in the world, there is only one item of that. If you take that, then your mate can't get it. Even if it's from a merchant and he's selling that item, if you take that, then he can't buy it either. That's it. Which I think is really, really cool. I think that really brings out like a more survival aspect, like there's only one of this or only one of that you can have, share it between yourselves. I think that's really, really cool for an RPG game. Just before I wrap it up, I'll throw in a couple of little extra details that I probably have missed. You can contract diseases in the game, such as like the flu. I've had indigestion, I've had like vomiting. I don't know what I had, but I was like vomiting all the time. And it's really important to make sure you're not too hot or too cold, as being too hot or too cold can easily kill you very quickly. So that's basically the quickest rundown I could give of this game. I don't want to give away too much because the first experience is always the best, not knowing anything. I really think this game is underrated. I had never heard of it until recently, and none of my friends played it. I don't know, it's very, very underrated in my opinion. Pretty sure it's on sale now on the PlayStation Store, so if you want to head over there and grab it, I think it's like $20 or something. It's a very, very good price for the content that the game offers. No, I am not doing a classic YouTuber thing where they're like, oh yeah, it's so good just for content. It's actually a good game. I actually enjoy it. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for watching my monotone voice all the way into the end. And please subscribe if you think that I have showed you a new game. Okay, love you, bye.